Just awful, those poor kids. Well, Janti Soeripto is the president and CEO of Save the Children US. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.
This is sadly, of course, not the first time we've seen this. In this case, Project Hope, the American NGO that operates this clinic, said that the strike, which hit directly in front of the clinic, that the IDF had been given the site's coordinates, and yet it still struck. Do you, in your operations there, have you been able to establish what Israel's rules of engagement are?
Look, this is an absolutely horrific tragedy, as your report just showed, but it is sadly all too familiar. And yes, I'm sure our colleagues at Project Hope would have given the coordinates, as we do as well. We operate 2 primary healthcare clinics still in Gaza, not too far actually from this one in Deir el-Balah. And we give coordinates when our trucks are moving or whether we want to do distribution. We give coordinates and specify exactly what's in the truck, who's driving it, when the truck is going, etc., which roads they're taking. But sadly, that doesn't seem to always come through. So that level of deconfliction, as we call it, has not been very effective and operational since the war began.
Right. Is it your sense, does this indicate to you that from Israel's perspective, if there is one or a group of militants or suspected militants, members of Hamas, if they are present in a location, even if that location has civilians, including children, around those people within the vicinity, that in Israel's view, based on your experience again, that that's an acceptable strike?
Well, based on results, that is what it seems to be. Because as I said, this is not the first time and not the only time this has happened. So that whole argument that it is unintentional is all well and fine, but clearly, hospitals, healthcare clinics, schools are edifices that are not supposed to be targeted. So, and as we see, the death toll, the civilian death toll, and in particular death toll of children in Gaza is unlike anything else we see anywhere else in war zones, anywhere in the world over the at least known history, or recent history. So you are not supposed to target hospitals and schools. And that is happening as almost as a matter of course, with the argument that there was a military target. That could well be, but there is no excuse for killing innocent children.
The toll is that more than 17,818 children have been killed over the past 15 months in Gaza. Right. For aid workers and aid organizations, have you seen any evidence that they are any safer today than they were after, for instance, incidents, and there have sadly been several where aid workers have been killed. For instance, I think of the World Central Kitchen attack. Have you seen any evidence that Israel's gotten more careful since then, that there's been better communication, for instance, between aid groups and the IDF?
No, sadly, we haven't seen it. There is still ongoing communication. There is still ongoing an attempt at making this deconfliction system work. We continue to give coordinates all the time. Since the resumption of the barricade, March 2nd, and essentially the end of the ceasefire, our colleagues and children and the civilians in Gaza are probably at the worst risk ever over these past 50 months. We haven't seen any improvement. Not enough aid has made it through. Only about a third currently of aid requests or humanitarian requests for letting trucks in, for instance, are allowed. We have seen no fuel come in. So no, it is. I was there last year. I thought it was as bad as it could get, and clearly I was wrong.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is now in charge, this U.S.-Israeli organization now in charge of distributing aid, are the people of Gaza getting any more food or other assistance they need today than they were before the establishment of the Aid Foundation or the Humanitarian Foundation, or has it been a failure, in your view?
Look, I think this is wholly inadequate. The people of Gaza are certainly getting a lot less assistance, food and other aid than during the 6 or 8 weeks from January to March that there was a ceasefire. Then we had 700, 800 trucks a day come in. There were lots of distribution sites. We were able to operate child-friendly spaces, some level of education areas, and of course, primary healthcare clinics. We were able to do malnutrition treatment for young children at scale. Since March 2nd, that has really whittled down to the bare minimum. And as I said, with the lack of fuel, hospitals are almost at a standstill. The ones that are still standing, we have people in ICU, we have babies in incubators that will stop working when fuel runs out.
Well, Janti Soeripto, we do appreciate the work that Save the Children is doing and attempting to do in Gaza, and thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.